Hello everyone, my name is RWBY and welcome to my reaction to RWBY Volume 9 Chapter 8. It is really getting down to the wire now. I am going to spend a bit of time talking about the episode before and after. As always, if you are just here for the reaction, you can always just scroll ahead. If you want early access to these reactions, go ahead and sign up on my Patreon pledge over there. And please don't always, as always, comment on spoilers for any future episodes after this one, because I don't have the time to react to those for a bit after you actually have access to watching those. Just be courteous, be kind. Without further delay, let's get into recapping the last episode. There's not much to say about that. It gave us a really good understanding of what Jean's been doing, what his mental state's been like, how he's lived in the Ever After for the last 10 to 20 years. Basically reliving the same day because it gives him value. And he's kind of just been trapped in that state for all this time. RWBY finally explodes, Jean explodes back onto her, they lash out. It's very real, long time coming, especially. RWBY's been in this mental state herself of bottling things up ever since the end of Volume 3. As not optimal as it is, and as perhaps some people might think of it as out of character, it's been entirely in character for RWBY, and it's just been a long time coming. And that leads us into Chapter 8. The way that I think it's gonna go is RWBY's off by herself, the rest of her team and Jean are gonna want to follow her and try to find her, but Neo's gonna find her first. And we'll see how that goes, especially when this episode is titled Tea Amidst Terrible Trouble, with a picture of Roman Torchwick on the thumbnail. And if it hasn't been obvious that Rooster Teeth isn't the one picking out the thumbnails, it is now, because they would not do this. You just get the feeling this is definitely Crunchyroll doing this. And it's only a 16-minute chapter, which is very short, but we'll see how that goes. Predictions, this is the tea party of the Mad Hatter of Neo. And just because I feel like it might come into play later, I am almost half expecting Summer Rose to be the end of this. But let's get into it, because this episode contains themes which might be distressing for some viewers. Oh, wonder. Oh, this is, Let's get into it. This episode of RWBY is intended for mature audiences only. Please be cautious of these trigger warnings if you need to.
Don't you see? Huh? Don't you see that this torture porn has gone too far? You're sick! You're a sick fuck! Now what the hell have you done for them? Huh? What the hell have you done to them?
I am gonna cut out the intro, but I am listening to it. Whew. So this is RWBY just running from something? Or has Neo already found her? Has Neo already been here? What's going on?
RWBY?
Is she just...
What are you doing?
So she's not in any trouble. She needed to.
Where am I? It's okay. I can guide us back.
I've been wanting Little and her to have another talk, though.
You all need to stick together if you want to go home.
She doesn't know what she wants, though. That's the thing.
Why are you still here? What? I promised.
I promised to serve Atlas as a huntress. That I'd keep people safe.
Yeah.
That I'd be there for my friends.
What do promises mean right now?
We can go back.
No! You don't know what I've done. What I couldn't do.
You don't know what you want, though. God.
Never do this.
I'm so glad we're getting more of this. It's not over. It's not so easily resolved.
You're going to end up dead too.
Yeah, everything I touch turns to...
Go home.
Like,
I
said go!
she doesn't... Yeah, she's still lashing out. She's still pushing people away. Oh, God. Is the blacksmith forcing her into something again? The butterfly. Finally, we're getting more about whatever this butterfly means. But what does it mean, though? What is this? Are we finally going to see more about... I need to know what this butterfly is, because it's been in so many different shots, kind of laden through things. She's headed to the Jabberwocker Acre now? Oh, Neo's built herself a home in the Jabberwocker Acre. Oh no. Oh. Roman holiday finally coming into play. Only took 8 chapters.
What is this?
This is what happened to Neo.
Hello, Red.
Billy Kametz, yeah.
How's the hero biz treating you? I gotta say, you're not looking too good.
Where's Neo?
No manners. And after everyone came out to see you.
Yeah. Oh boy, yes, let's just put everything. Maya Pyrrha, I'm not okay. Oh, this is too much. This is too much. Neo's just... Yeah. Oh boy.
This isn't real!
Isn't real. You're the one following a talking cat around a fairy tale.
Reality's getting fuzzier by the minute, kid.
Oh god. Yeah, so this is what she's willing to...
Neo realized
She is willing to pull a weapon against Neo.
Always loved the idea of a place to run away from it all. Do whatever you want.
Be whoever you
I
want.
offered that to her back on Remnant. But we all remember how that ended.
Is that seriously what this is all about? You still blame me for what happened at Torchwick? If you're looking for an apology, you...
Oh, I want this. This was never about
They say
about
everyone
RWBY.
thinks they're the hero of their own story.
Oh.
I knew what I was. And deep down, I think you know what you are too.
The leaves from the tree?
Oh, you're familiar.
How about a little reset?
Is that what you want? Well, if you want me dead, then come get me.
You don't deserve to die, Red.
Exactly. She's just been playing with her food.
Broken down, torn apart, wiped from existence.
That's exactly what... Yeah, Neo's just been playing with her food. Neo's just been... Oh, God.
I'm going to enjoy watching you break.
Yeah, this is exactly what Neo wants to do. She knows what this place
Damn it.
is
How
like.
could you just run off like that? She was clearly upset. That wasn't upset. That was... Ugh! She could have just talked to us.
Maybe she didn't feel like she could.
Yeah, exactly. As much as it's
She has always
on
been
them,
one to get us through the hard times.
Neo, Ruby's been bottling it up. Ruby's not opened
We
up.
believe in you. We can count on you.
But they were putting her through it the whole time, too.
But
They didn't realize what they were doing.
It's not like we were asking her to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And...
Who are you to think you knew what was best for Atlas?
I was the best and brightest Beacon had to offer.
But I traded my life so that my friends could live.
Oh. Yeah, she's just getting pummeled by everything she ever didn't want to have to face again.
To save me at the Vital Festival.
And then again.
I died in Atlas, too. Didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what that's like? To be completely and
Neo's
utterly
really just
time and
making it worse and worse and worse.
someone who meant the world to you.
You ready for that drink yet?
How many more people are going to die because of you? I'm trying to save everyone.
And yet, with all your best intentions, have you ever stopped to wonder if you
Best intentions. Oh, you're really one to talk. You're really one to talk about intentions.
Do you have to ruin?
How many more lives? There.
You're not cut out.
All of these characters are just talking about themselves, not even Ruby. I mean, like, it fits, but not even Ruby. Oh.
Ruby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's... And none of this is real. None of this needs to play by the actual laws of aura.
I think you can stand to watch more of your friends fall.
Please stop.
Or are you ready to...
I do like at least that Neo's able to talk through somebody else. Because, like, everything that Roman is saying is really just what Neo is saying. And Neo's needed a mouthpiece of some kind to be able to give herself more agency than just what charades can do. So I appreciate that. Hey. Hey, change. Change, Ruby. How about you? Could you spare some change? And somebody else finally gets to her. But who was that? Because I don't think it was her team. That looked more like... Oh.
Ruby. It's over now.
Oh, no. That's not fun.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be me anymore.
Yeah. She hasn't for quite a few episodes now. Oh. What does that mean? What are you trying to say, mister?
You down for so long?
What are you doing?
My purpose.
Exactly.
When a poor little heart is broken, I can fill it with mine. I'm afraid I haven't been entirely honest with you, Ruby. I'm not like the other Afterans here. I'm cursed with curiosity. I need to know everything, but more than anything, I need to know why my maker has left me here.
Who is your...
And make all of... Ow!
You're not a friend.
Oh god, that's just again more friendship thing. I feel like that's Penny reincarnated. I really just do. But Neo doesn't like him either. What the hell is that about? And Neo just wants her to suffer. Neo's not with him. Fine. Okay. Okay.
It's about time we all got what we deserve.
just tear my heart into a million pieces, why don't you?
Are you ready to admit the truth?
No, Ruby, please.
The
Don't.
world would just be better off without you.
And is this where it ends? Is this where it ends? But what does this mean for her, though? Where is she going to go? So yeah. I kind of knew.
You've finally done it!
Wait.
Little Red's gone.
Yeah.
With your semblance stronger than ever now.
Yeah, what does this mean for Neo?
Absurd place.
This is just emptiness now, is it? Is it just emptiness for her?
Offing Little Red can't be all you wanted.
Oh, but it was. Oh, but it's the only focus. Now she doesn't have a purpose anymore either. That's it. It's done. What is good for her now? That Shri imagery. Oh, but now she has to face the cat.
You still don't get it.
She's at the tree. Do you want to go to the tree now?
It's a place you know. But
It's-
no matter. I've actually found
It's a place you
much
know?
better solution to my problem.
Oh, God. what is he doing now? He just
something most important, haven't you?
yeah.
And now you have nothing left.
So he's just basically feeding on broken people.
How delightful. An empty host.
This is
For me to fill.
wow. This is done very well. What in the hell? Oh god, that's the amounts of deranged that this has become is just something else, man. What am I even watching right now? So much is just kicked off.
The rusted night. Goodness, am I tired of your little sob story.
God.
You can't even accept your own futility.
Oh god.
This body will do.
Yeah. And now he's gonna use her semblance in ways she could never have even imagined. And they're headed to the tree? Ugh. God. So this part sucks. I love seeing all of these names in the credits again. But not like this. Taylor McNee, Jen Brown, Shannon McCormick, Jason Rose, David Mills, because sure, let's add Lionheart in there for some reason. Christopher Whitcamp. All these names, it's so good to see them, and Billy Kametz and Christopher Whitcamp. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So I knew Billy Kametz was going to be Roman Torchwick if Roman Torchwick showed back up, just based on the timeline that this was all recorded, because this was recorded years ago, back before Billy passed from cancer. So I kind of knew that Torchwick would be in this volume. If we're really going to have a Neo showcase, we're going to need Roman to do it. If for no other reason, then there needs to be a mouthpiece that can explain Neo. And that was Torchwick talking, but that was kind of an illusion of Torchwick made to haunt RWBY, so it wasn't entirely Torchwick because it wasn't Torchwick himself, but it was still an illusion that could speak for Neo as Torchwick as well. So it kind of, that illusion of Torchwick performed quite a few different roles. So a couple things just to really get through the episode, starting off with Weiss, Blake, Yang, and John. They didn't know what they were putting RWBY through. To a lesser extent, Jean, because he's, he had the outburst, but as for RWBY's team, like, they really didn't know. And it's not that they were ignoring her or seeing it and not trying to respond. They didn't know they needed to, because they didn't know that this time was different, or that things were actually compounding a lot more, and that the things that they could have said and they have said have been leading to this the whole time, and actually wasn't helping, because the toxic the mindset that RWBY was going with the whole time was actually toxic the whole time. And I don't really have much to say about the sort of midpoints of the episode with all of these people with RWBY. Maybe there was more going on there that Clover would have been a part of, and that Leo would have been a part of, but, like, was it needed? I don't know. I feel like the characters who needed to speak got the chance to speak, got the chance to affect RWBY in the way that they should. Cause, like, I don't know if we really needed to hear anything from Clover or Lionheart, to be perfectly honest. I feel like they were good kind of just being there. As much as they were valid to sit at that table, I don't think they needed to do much more than that, to have their impact be felt in the way that, like, RWBY needed to feel in that moment. Who knows what might have gotten cut, but I don't think too much was lost on my end, even though I wouldn't really know, would I? Either way, it did what it needed to do, especially Oscar. He's not even in this volume. It's not even actually Oscar. Even the illusionary, fake Oscar cannot catch a freaking break. The kid exists to be somebody else's punching bag. And it just sucks. Nobody's actually punching Oscar for Oscar. Oscar's not taking any of these hits for anything that he did. He's just living a life of torment that somebody else is putting him through, and he has to take it. And even when it's not actually him taking it, and it's just an illusion the whole time, he's still taking it, and that sucks. That really just sucks.
This? Who would ask for this?
Who asked for this? I did. I asked for this. I asked for all of this. I didn't ask for Neo specifically, because I don't care about Neo. Neo can be in the background all she wants, and that's fine. But I didn't ask for this, man. Not like this. I didn't ask for this. And it's like, I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't. And now I have to live with this. Now I have to live with this week of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for who knows what, but Ruby's down in the ever after finally. What is actually called the ever after. As much as the above ground is called the ever after, really whatever's in the pit is too. So what I wasn't expecting was that it would carry on after RWBY fell. Like, that easily could have been the end point for the episode, and it would have been fine. But I do appreciate that this episode did take the time to expand on Neo, because it really wasn't just about RWBY. This was also Neo's episode too, and that's kind of the end. Is like, she got what she wanted. Then she became an empty husk, which is perfect for the cat. And the cat said a couple things. The cat said a lot this volume about... Well, the cat is kind of the mouthpiece for the actual lore of what's actually going on and not just the story. So the tree isn't where you go, it's what you are. You don't go to the tree goes to you. There's a lot going on in those two sentiments, those two sentences. And the tree is what decides who you become once you've broken, once you've worn out, but it does it based on who you are. And that's the more important thing, is if RWBY does need to change, what's going to be down there that allows RWBY to change into what she is. It's not giving her something that she's not, and I feel like a lot of people miss that about the Ever After. Not everybody really understands what the tree's role actually is, as much as we know this from the cat. This is kind of RWBY's, as a show's, like, overarching underlying problem is like, well, the lore of the world is often given to us through unreliable narrators, so how much can we really trust? But I do think that we can understand, like, the Curious Cat was telling the truth in that moment, as much as it was omitting larger facts. The things that it was saying were still true. There's so many questions about the possibilities of what is going to happen in Chapter 9 that's just like, I don't know, man. There's too much. There's too many unknowns about how exactly the lore of this world is going to manifest for RWBY now that she's actually there. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that somebody would fall again, that somebody would go to the tree. And to me, this was always going to happen to RWBY. I think once we learned what the possibilities were and what it meant for somebody to fall, if this volume is actually going to be what it's told us it can be, telling us that it can be something is kind of setting up for it being that thing. And now we're getting it. So I'm not surprised that RWBY fell at all when this whole volume has told RWBY that that's the way forward for her character, and things have just constantly interrupted that. There was bound to be a time where that wasn't interrupted, and it was her choice. So it's not surprising to me at all that it happened. I just wasn't ready for it. as much as I wanted it to happen. And that's mostly the week of having to wait talking. I'm not ready for the week that's ahead of me. We do know that there is going to be another Blacksmith scene based on lines from the trailer. What if you could leave Ruby Rose behind, shed Ruby Rose like an old coat? That's what Ruby's faced with now. And I think we're going to see that happening in Chapter 9, is we're going to get the Blacksmith again. We had in Chapter 5, Little was saying, Ruby, I don't think we're supposed to be here, because they could sense something was off because the heart never forgets, and this was actually a place familiar to Little. And now here we are again. The Blacksmith says, so now you've chosen to be here, and you've chosen to give up your burden in a sense, because it's been literally too much. And we're gonna have to see. Now that Ruby's back at the Blacksmith, she's going to see the weapon on the wall again, and what I hope happens is that she actually asks about it. If that is Summer, and I think that Ruby will recognize that that has been Summer's weapon, is she going to be her mother now? Because that's kind of who she's always been trying to be, and realizing that's not possible. I've wanted to live up to these ideals that my mother has given me. I haven't been able to do that. Will I actually be able to do that now if I become Summer? So I do feel like she is going to leave with that weapon, in a sense. I think that's very real for what's going to happen to Ruby moving forward. And at this point, there's a lot going through my head. I'm not quite sure how to feel about it, so once I form my thoughts, I'll get back to you. As always, I am back. It's the next day. I've only seen this episode really once all the way through, as you've seen earlier, and I know that I missed a lot of things, so I'm coming back to this paying a special amount of focus on the cat. There was one thing that the cat said that I did pick up on about the tree being a place you know, but they get a little bit into the origins of Remnant, which they had asked Team RWBY about in Chapter 4 for good reason, and now we understand a little bit more about why. Again, RWBY, like Volume 9, has really proven more and more how much it was really setting up that we didn't have a clue at the time. This cat's curious for very good reason. And I also didn't fully react to like every little thing because I kind of just got a little numb as they went on, I'll be completely honest. So I am going to watch the episode all the way through again, but probably cut out a lot of the parts that aren't as pertinent. Let's get into that. We still need to see you. We still need to see you. You wouldn't have a character model if you did not need one. Where are you? We haven't seen your character model yet. We know you're around somewhere. Show up. Chapter 9, Chapter 10. I'm telling you. Show up. Yeah. Oh gosh. This part of the episode was so heartbreaking. And all RWBY can do is push Little away. Gosh. This is... It's so hard to see RWBY like this, even though this has been built up.
I promised to serve Alyx as a huntress.
The voice acting, Lindsay did an amazing job here. It's so hard to watch, but this is so well performed.
I can't do this.
Ah.
You stay with me, you're going to end up dead too.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Just go home.
Oh my God. Little, save yourself. Save yourself. And this butterfly as well, it's theorized, especially like a glowing blue butterfly, meant to signify like a loved one that's passed on. A lot of people saying that that means Summer in some sense. I'm not sure. The kind of theory that I have for Summer is more of a vision, yet a vision that's able to speak for Summer herself rather than like Summer in the flesh. But I really want to know, I do think that that butterfly is leading to Summer in some regard at the same time. I'm not sure how that fits together. This was fantastic. That was done very well.
I don't want to be me anymore.
Yeah. This is so hard to watch. But at the same time, where it's always meant to go. Yeah, so...
Curiosity. I need to know everything, but more than anything, I need to know why my maker has left me here.
Yeah.
I need to leave and make all of...
Only to leave and make all of you, so... I'll stop here. So I think we might get a little bit more dialogue about this later. I didn't catch everything, but the cat asked Team RWBY in Chapter 4 about the origins of Remnant, notably saying, hey, you know a lot more than Alyx did, which means they asked Alyx about it too. And so one theory that I saw, I don't know if You All Right started it, but they made a video about it, which was that the cat is the crown of choice, which is Beacon's relic, which is also a relic that Team RWBY calls out in Chapter 6 as being somewhere that Salem cannot reach. So I do think that this is very possible. We'll have to see. Of all of the different things that are going to happen in Chapters 9 and 10, I'm not sure where that's going to fit, but I definitely would like to see it. And that's another thing too, like the cat has been cursed. So if the cat's really been here for so long trying to find a husk to fill, they can be as easily as old as Jin. Or, I don't know about that though, because that would have to mean that Oz put them here. Because Oz has had the crown of choice. Oz has had the crown of choice since at least the Great War. So, because Oz wore it in the battle at the Great War, so how could it also have been here for eons on end? I don't know if that's possible. Why this cat has cause to be curious about the gods, I don't know. I don't know if we can really say that yet. There's going to inevitably be more to this cat. As I've said before, and I'm sure I will say countless times again when prompted, Robbie Daymond is perfect casting for the cat, and I think they knew that. I feel like they reached out to Robbie specifically. It wasn't like an open casting call. I'm pretty sure they reached out to Robbie Daymond specifically knowing the roles that he's played, because it's a little too perfect, if you're asking me. Oh. I said something bad was gonna happen to that mouse. I did. I feel like we all needed to be ready for it. Didn't want to accept the truth. Living in denial and copium for 8 weeks, but here we are. And they don't know what that means yet. They don't know necessarily that she was drinking from the tree. I mean, the leaf was in there, but the utter shock factor is totally understandable. She's breaking. This whole place is made of her semblance, essentially. Why not? If I'm not mistaken. So,
right?
It was, but it was. And she's shutting down because there's nothing left for this house to be built for. This whole thing, this is arguably even more horrifying than Little Dying. Once again, perfect for Robbie Daymond. Once you understand what Akechi does and is in Persona 5, especially in the Shido arc, this is just perfectly deranged Robbie Daymond. I gotta know more about the fairy tale. And I don't think we're going to get it in this. I don't think we're going to get the fairy tale fully modeled and told in Volume 9. I feel like there are things that are going to be left to flashbacks. We might get a little bit of snippets here and there, but I've said time and time again that I want an anthology volume of RWBY. I want there to be a volume like Red vs. Blue Season 14 that tells a whole bunch of different little stories. I've talked about wanting one that tells more about Ilya and sort of her journey and things. And when I read Roman Holiday, as much as I can tell that of all the chapters in the book that would get made into an anthology volume, Chapter 4 wouldn't be one of them, but it feels like it was made for that. Like, read Chapter 4 of Roman Holiday, which is Roman's backstory. It's like a perfect character trailer for what makes Roman Roman. And it's amazingly written. It is easily my favorite chapter of Roman Holiday, and I would love for that to be animated. And I want, if they are going to make an anthology volume, one of the chapters to be the original fairy tale fully done. Maybe one of them is the fairy tale as the story was written, but then another chapter of the anthology volume, another episode of the anthology volume is, now that you know what the fairy tale said, here's the chapter of what actually happened. What did the cat actually do? What were the conditions of the tree? How were those conditions met? What really happened to Lewis? What really happened to Alyx? And I don't think we can get through Volume 9 without answering those questions, but I don't think it's going to be fully animated to the sense of, you know, we've gotten John's perspective of the fairy tale through 2D images, so obviously we're not going to get those 3D animated because we've already seen it, but I want to see, like, that full story 3D animated, even though we're probably going to get some of it later. I just want to say that, like, as well, I'm not surprised by how dark this chapter is. I'm only, like, half surprised that Ruby drank the tea. I don't think it was entirely too out of character, and I can easily see that given how she's responded to the herbalist, given how the moment keeps getting ripped away from her as to whether or not she would take that deal, you kind of get a sense that, like, she's being saved from taking the deal. Not that she would reject it all 3 or 4 of those times at this point, right? I don't think it was too entirely out of character for her to take that deal. Ruby was going to fall regardless. The writing's been on the wall since the volume began, and especially with the way that the trailers frame things, that this was going to be a Ruby Rose development volume, and she can develop without falling, but if anybody was going to fall, it would be Ruby. So I don't see too much of a reason to be surprised by that. And Little's down there too, so Little will ascend as well. This is easily the darkest chapter of RWBY ever. It's constantly, time and time again, somebody being reminded of all of their failures, all of the people who she blames for their death. Weird as it is to see Lionheart and Clover again, those are all of the people sitting at the table are people that, if things had gone differently, Ruby could have saved. Some of those people, she was directly there as they died. Some of them, she wasn't. Some of those people, she knew full well they would die. Some of them, she didn't. And that will do it for my reaction to RWBY Volume 9, Chapter 8. This was very intense, very heavy. I've got a lot of work to do to get this thing ready for my Patreon. So if you want to see the rest of my reactions to RWBY Volume 9 early, you can always head over there. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. I'm Rising. Have a good one.